There comes a moment in life, quiet, heavy, and raw, when you're sitting alone asking yourself, why do they treat me like this? What did I ever do to deserve this kind of pain? And in that moment, your heart isn't just broken, it's tired. Tired of being strong, tired of being silent, tired of being misunderstood. You smile in front of the world, but behind closed doors, you're holding back tears that nobody knows about. When someone troubles you, not just with their words, but with their absence, their betrayal, their coldness, it doesn't just shake your emotions, it questions your worth. But I'm here to tell you something. You're not weak for feeling this way. You're human. And being human means having a soul that bruises, but also one that heals. This is not the end of your story. This is just a test of your spirit. So if someone's troubling you today, hurting you, using you, ignoring you, lean in. Because this isn't just about them anymore. It's about who you choose to become in response. And I promise you, there's power on the other side of this pain. When someone wounds you with their actions or words, your natural instinct is to fight back. It burns in your chest. That need to make them feel what they made you feel. That aching hunger for justice, for recognition, for respect. You want them to understand the damage they've caused, to suffer the way you silently suffer. But listen to me. Reacting emotionally may give you a moment of satisfaction, but it will rob you of long-term peace. Emotions are powerful, but they're also fleeting. And if you allow someone else to dictate your emotions, you hand them control over your life. You're giving them the keys to your peace, your clarity, your destiny. You must rise above the urge to react impulsively. Let your spirit take the lead, not your flesh. Because when you act from spirit, from wisdom, from strength, not only do you protect your energy, you protect your future. You weren't created to match the chaos around you. You were created to carry calm through the storm. That means when someone throws fire at you, you don't have to throw flames back. You can choose to be the water. You can be the stillness that confuses them. You can be the silence that echoes louder than any argument. Some people are waiting for your meltdown. They're counting on your weakness. They feed off your reaction. But when you respond with restraint, when you stay grounded in your higher self, they lose their power over you. And something miraculous happens. You begin to elevate. You no longer dance in circles with petty energy. You step out of the drama, not because you're afraid to fight, but because you've already won the battle within. You may think being spiritual means being passive, but that's a lie. True spirituality is strength under control. It's fire with direction. It's knowing you could explode, but choosing peace instead. That's power. That's discipline. That's maturity. And it doesn't mean you're pretending everything's okay. It means you trust in that what's done in darkness will be dealt with in light. It means you understand that justice doesn't always wear your watch. Sometimes life takes longer to balance the scales. But when you surrender the need to force things, you make space for divine timing. You make space for healing that doesn't require destruction. And that's not weak. That's sacred. That's holy. That's transformational. You were never meant to absorb every wound thrown at you. Just because someone is broken doesn't mean you have to carry their pieces. Their pain is not your prison. But when you react emotionally, you keep their energy alive in your body. You rehearse the betrayal. You relive the rejection. And little by little, it drains you. It chips away at your light. That's why you must protect your spirit. You must build a wall of discernment, a filter for your soul. Ask yourself, does this serve my growth? Does this align with who I'm becoming? If the answer is no, let it pass. You don't need to attend every argument you're invited to. You don't need to defend your name to people committed to misunderstanding you. Rise, not to escape, but to transcend. People will try to provoke you. They'll poke your scars and call it a joke. They'll test your limits and smile when you break. That's the world we live in. But your job isn't to match their dysfunction. Your job is to heal so deeply that their triggers no longer reach you. That's where spiritual response begins, in the healing. You can't respond from peace if you've never made peace with yourself. So dig into the wounds, sit with the pain, cry if you need to, but don't pitch a tent there. Don't make a home in your hurt. Process it, release it, Then build yourself from the inside out so that when the next attack comes, you're not moved. You're rooted. You're unshakable because your power no longer depends on the approval or behavior of others. There's something beautiful about choosing silence when you could scream. There's a rare strength in walking away when you could stay and destroy everything. That kind of control isn't learned in ease, it's forged in trials. It's built in fire. But once you've got it, it changes your whole posture. You stop needing to prove yourself. You stop needing to beg for kindness. You understand that not everyone deserves a response. And even more than that, you begin to value your energy too much to waste it. You begin to see that every reaction costs you something. So you stop spending your soul on people who are bankrupt in spirit. You stop chasing closure from those who can't even give honesty. You stop looking for peace in places where chaos is celebrated. And instead of reacting, you start reflecting. You ask yourself deeper questions. Why did that bother me so much? What wound is this pressing on? You begin to notice your own patterns. You begin to see the places inside of you that still need love, still need care, still need God. And in that space of self-awareness, you find your freedom. Because the goal isn't just to avoid conflict, it's to outgrow the need for it. The goal isn't to win the argument, it's to not need the argument at all. That's what spiritual response does. It teaches you how to move from ego to essence, from defense to destiny, from wounded to wise. This isn't easy work. It's hard to pause when you're triggered. It's hard to breathe when your pride is screaming. But every time you choose to respond spiritually, you're rewriting the narrative. You're breaking the cycle. You're telling your soul, we are no longer ruled by fear. We are no longer puppets to pain. We lead with love now. We lead with vision. And slowly but surely, your peace becomes permanent. Your joy becomes untouchable, not because the world stopped trying to break you, but because you stopped letting it succeed. You built an inner sanctuary, and now the storms outside can't flood your spirit. You deserve to live that way. You deserve to wake up and feel light, not heavy from yesterday's drama. You deserve to protect your joy like it's treasure, because it is. Not everyone is meant to be invited into your sacred space. Some people are lessons, not lifelines. And the more spiritually you respond, the more clearly you see who's who. You stop romanticizing toxicity. You stop confusing attention with affection. You start realizing that real love doesn't disturb your peace, it protects it. And when that becomes your standard, you stop chasing chaos. You start choosing wholeness. So if today you're hurting because someone mistreated you, if your spirit is bruised from the weight of their words, I want you to pause, not to suppress, not to pretend, but to breathe. To remind yourself that this moment doesn't own you. You are more than this pain, more than this betrayal. You are not what they did. You are what you choose to become after it. And you can choose peace. You can choose growth. You can choose to be the kind of person that doesn't just survive the fire, but carries light from it. You're not here to live in reaction. You're here to live in revelation. So stand still, rise up, and let your spirit speak louder than your scars. Some people come into your life not to be healed, not to be helped, not to be changed, but to teach you how to let go. And that truth hurts, especially when you're someone who sees the good in everyone, who believes that if you just love hard enough, stay loyal long enough, or try sincerely enough, people will change. But the hardest truth you will ever have to accept is this: you cannot fix what was never meant to be whole with you. You cannot heal someone who keeps cutting themselves on your kindness. They don't want saving, they want control. They don't want peace, they want attention. And if you keep pouring your energy into someone who drinks it like water and spills it like wine, you'll run dry. You'll burn out. And you'll start questioning your own worth just because someone else was incapable of recognizing it. That's not love. That's spiritual self-destruction. And you must stop convincing yourself that pain is proof of purpose. It's not. Pain is a signal. It's a divine whisper that says this isn't where you belong. You've outgrown this version of love. The longer you ignore that whisper, the louder the chaos becomes. There are people who are committed to misunderstanding you. No matter how clearly you speak, how kindly you act, how deeply you care, they will twist it, they will doubt it, they will weaponize it. And you will sit there wondering what more you could have done to make them feel safe, seen, and valued. But that's the trap. That's the cycle you get stuck in when you try to fix people who were never interested in being fixed. Some people don't want healing. They want to stay broken so they can justify their behavior. They wear victimhood like armor so they never have to grow. And you, empathetic, hopeful, beautiful soul, you fall for it. Not because you're naive, but because you believe in redemption. But not everyone is on a redemption arc. Some people are on a loop. And every time you try to pull them out, they drag you in. They'll make you feel like they're savior only to crucify you when you can't carry the weight of their self-destruction. That's not love, that's manipulation wrapped in a sob story. And it's okay to walk away from it. One of the most dangerous lies you can tell yourself is, if I just do a little more, they'll finally change. That lie has robbed people of years. It has kept souls stuck in toxic cycles where love feels like labor and affection feels like achievement. You are not a therapist for someone who refuses to acknowledge their sickness. You are not a crutch for someone who refuses to walk on their own 2 feet. If their apology is only ever used to reset the cycle, it's not an apology, it's emotional bait. And you keep biting it because deep down you think your love can conquer their trauma, but their trauma is not your task. It is not your job to bleed just to prove you care. It is not your calling to suffer so they can feel strong. That is not how healing works. Healing requires responsibility. Healing requires ownership. Healing requires a desire to be whole. If someone's actions scream, I don't want help, you need to stop whispering, but I'll keep trying, let go. Not because you didn't love enough, but because they didn't choose to grow. You have to stop seeing your loyalty as a cure. Your loyalty cannot fix lies. Your patience cannot mend patterns. If someone chooses to hurt you over and over again, that's not a mistake, that's a decision. And if you continue to stay believing that love means endurance at all costs, you will lose parts of yourself that you'll never get back. You'll wake up one day and not recognize the version of yourself who accepted scraps and called it dinner. You'll look in the mirror and see a warrior who was never supposed to fight their battles. There's a difference between standing by someone and being walked over. There's a difference between commitment and self-abandonment. And sometimes the kindest thing you can do for them and for you is to stop showing up. Stop answering, stop hoping, stop hurting yourself to keep someone else comfortable in their dysfunction. You are not their bandage. You are not their rebuild. You are not their emotional repairman. You are a whole human being who deserves to be met in the middle, not dragged through the mud of their brokenness while they make excuses and offer nothing in return. You are not cold for walking away. You are not heartless for choosing yourself. You are not cruel for saying, I can't do this anymore. That's not selfish. That's survival. You gave chances. You gave grace. You gave the benefit of the doubt more times than your heart could afford. And every time they said they changed, you believed them, not because you were blind, but because you were hopeful, because you wanted to believe that the same love that transformed your life could do the same for them. But love only transforms the willing. And if they are unwilling, unready, or uninterested in changing, then staying becomes a slow death for your spirit. You start walking on eggshells. You start minimizing your own needs. You start shrinking yourself to avoid conflict. That is not a relationship. That is captivity. That is not a bond. That is a burden. And the weight of it will crush your joy, steal your peace, and convince you that love is supposed to feel like suffering. It's not. Real love builds. Real love lifts. Real love heals. But when love becomes a prison, it's time to find your freedom. It is not noble to suffer silently while someone you love refuses to change. It is not romantic to endure disrespect in the name of devotion. Pain is not a love language. And yet so many of us confuse the chaos for chemistry. We think the highs and lows are signs of passion, when in reality, they're symptoms of instability. You keep thinking it'll get better. You keep waiting for the version of them that shows up during apologies to finally stay. But that version of them is not real. It's a mask. And you deserve more than a mask. You deserve consistency. You deserve safety. You deserve to stop having to wonder if today is the day they'll be kind, if today is the day they won't hurt you. If someone only values you when they're about to lose you, they never truly valued you to begin with. They loved your presence, not your person. And you are not meant to exist in a space where you're only treated well out of fear, not out of respect. That is not love, that is survival. And you were not born to survive someone else's dysfunction. You were born to thrive in your own peace. People will call you selfish when you stop carrying them. They'll say you've changed when you stop letting them drain you. They'll guilt trip you, call you ungrateful, say you gave up too easily. But they never mention the nights you cried. They never acknowledge the moments you bent so far, you almost broke. They won't remember the sacrifices you made in silence or the way you protected them from their own reflection, because people who refuse to change will always deflect. And when you remove your love from them, they will scramble to find someone else to blame. Don't take the bait. Don't backtrack. Don't open the door you finally had the strength to close. When someone shows you who they are through their patterns, believe them. Stop justifying the behavior. Stop writing chapters of hope in a book filled with betrayal. Close the book. Start a new one. One where you are not the fixer, not the savior, not the emotional mule. You are the main character. And the story deserves better than the same heartbreak on repeat. We live in a world that romanticizes the struggle. We hear phrases like, real love is worth fighting for, and we believe that staying through the worst is proof of devotion. But the truth is, some battles aren't yours to fight. Some people aren't partners, they're projects. And projects drain you. You start building and rebuilding, hoping that one day they'll finally see the foundation you laid for them, only to watch them tear it down with the same hands you held them with. And that's where your power comes in. Not in how long you stay, but in knowing when to leave. Not in how much you give, but in knowing when you've given enough. Walking away isn't giving up. It's giving in to your own healing. It's choosing to believe that your peace matters. It's stepping out of the cycle so you can finally breathe again. Because you can't love someone into wholeness if they are in love with being broken. And your light cannot thrive in a place built to dim it. So if they won't grow, you must go. Not out of anger, but out of self-respect. You were never meant to exhaust yourself in the pursuit of someone else's growth. You were never meant to cry yourself to sleep praying for someone to treat you right. Love should not feel like begging. Affection should not feel like a reward. If you're constantly trying to fix, explain, prove, or repair, you're not in a partnership. You're in a rescue mission. And eventually, you'll lose yourself in the rubble. You'll start thinking you're the problem. You'll shrink your needs, silence your voice, and settle for less just to avoid being alone. But solitude is not the enemy. Loneliness is better than betrayal. Silence is better than screaming. Peace is better than performance. You do not have to prove your worth through pain. You do not have to earn love by enduring neglect. If someone doesn't see your value, stop showing them receipts. They don't want to see it. And that's not your burden. That's their blindness. You are allowed to leave what doesn't grow you. You are allowed to choose yourself. Because no matter how much you love someone, if they are committed to being broken, you are not the answer. Let them go. You will heal faster when you stop trying to save them. You will breathe deeper when you stop hoping they'll change. And your life will begin again the moment you say, I can't carry this anymore. You may cry, you may grieve, you may question every memory, every promise, every moment that felt real. But let those tears cleanse you, not confuse you. Let that grief teach you, not trap you. Because the truth is, love doesn't always last, but lessons do. And one of the hardest lessons you'll ever learn is that not all love stories are meant to end in forever. Some are meant to end in freedom. And the sooner you realize that fixing someone who doesn't want healing is a trap, the sooner you'll reclaim your life. You are not a failure for leaving. You are not weak for giving up on someone who gave up on themselves. You are not wrong for choosing peace over potential. You did your part. You loved the best you could. And now it's time to let go, not because you didn't care, but because you finally learned to care for yourself. Protect your peace like it's sacred, because it truly is. In a world that constantly demands your attention, your energy, your reactions, and your spirit, protecting your peace is not just a preference, it's a necessity. You have to treat your inner calm like a sacred place no one is allowed to walk into with dirty feet. You don't need to justify why you don't want to attend every argument you're invited to. You don't owe explanations for choosing silence over chaos. People will often misunderstand your silence, your calmness, your distance as weakness or arrogance, but in reality, it's the strongest form of control a person can have. When you refuse to allow the energy of others to dictate your mood or shake your spirit, you've taken your power back. It doesn't mean you're cold or emotionless. It means you've reached a level where not everything gets access to your spirit. You've learned how to walk away, how to say no without guilt, how to observe without absorbing. And that's strength. Because not everyone deserves a seat at your table. And not every noise deserves your ears. Peace is expensive. And if something costs your peace, it's too expensive. People who have found inner peace are often misjudged. They're seen as disconnected or too private. But what they've really done is stop entertaining the chaos that once drained them. The world may never understand what it took for you to get to a place of emotional balance, and honestly, it doesn't need to. You didn't go through all the storms and heartbreaks just to let someone come in and flip your energy upside down. Protecting your peace means setting boundaries so strong that they shake the people who are used to walking all over you. It means loving people from a distance when necessary. It means refusing to be a dumping ground for others' negativity. You can be compassionate and still protective of your space. You can care and still say, I won't allow this energy around me. The moment you stop arguing for your limits and start defending your growth is the moment you will realize peace is more valuable than validation. You don't need everyone to understand. You just need to understand yourself. And when you do, you'll stop asking for permission to feel safe, to rest, and to live on your terms. Peace doesn't always look like calm beaches and soft music. Sometimes peace looks like cutting off toxic connections, saying no without an explanation, and refusing to be involved in things that make your chest tighten. Peace might be quiet on the outside, but it is built on storms you've survived within. You learn that protecting your peace sometimes means being misunderstood. That's okay. You're not responsible for other people's confusion about your evolution. What used to drain you no longer deserves your time. You're not bitter, you're healing. You're not antisocial, you're selective. You're not difficult, you're just not tolerating what you once did. People will project, criticize, and assume. Let them. That's not your problem anymore. Your job is to guard the temple that is your mind and spirit. Your job is to make peace your priority and recognize how sacred it really is. That means checking in with yourself before agreeing to anything. That means leaving the room, the conversation, or even the relationship if it costs you peace. It's not selfish. It's survival. You can't pour from a cup that's constantly being emptied by the chaos of others. Every time you prioritize your peace, you're sending a message to the universe and to yourself that you value your worth. You're letting the world know that your energy is not up for grabs. This isn't about being rigid or hard-hearted. It's about being rooted. Rooted in who you are, what you need, and what you no longer accept. People who respect your peace are the ones who deserve access to you. Everyone else, they can watch from a distance. You're no longer available for drama disguised as concern, manipulation disguised as love, or chaos disguised as passion. You've outgrown the narrative that love must be chaotic to be real. You've stopped normalizing emotional exhaustion as the price of connection. The truth is, when you protect your peace, you start attracting people, opportunities, and moments that reflect that energy. You stop chasing validation and start choosing alignment. And that shift, though often lonely at first, is the most powerful thing you can do. Because once you taste real peace, toxic familiarity will never appeal to you again. It will repel you. Your soul will recognize the difference between comfort and captivity. Choose peace. Every time. There's a quiet kind of strength in walking away from what disturbs your inner world. It's not loud or flashy. It doesn't come with applause, but it transforms your life in ways most people won't see. Protecting your peace looks like canceling plans without guilt when your spirit needs rest. It looks like blocking a number you've memorized because it leads to emotional chaos. It looks like not explaining yourself when people can't understand your silence. It looks like building a world so gentle and safe that even your thoughts can breathe. And make no mistake, it's hard. Because society teaches you to say yes, to overextend, to please. But peace? Peace teaches you to choose yourself without apology. It teaches you to trust that calm is not boring, it's powerful. The peace you protect today will be the foundation of the life you build tomorrow. So don't let guilt make you available to what God has already told you to walk away from. Don't allow old triggers to become new attachments. You've evolved, and peace is now your default, not chaos. You owe it to your future to protect it at all costs. Peace is a spiritual discipline. It doesn't happen by accident. You have to be intentional about it. You must choose what you entertain, who you allow into your energy field, and what you respond to. Every day you're presented with chances to either guard your peace or give it away. Some arguments don't need your voice. Some people don't need your response. Some situations don't deserve your involvement. The moment you recognize that not every action requires your reaction, you step into your power. Silence can be louder than shouting when it's anchored in peace. Your calmness becomes a shield. And the more you honor that, the less chaos can touch you. You begin to understand that your peace is the evidence of your healing. It's the result of inner work, late nights, prayers, and personal sacrifices. You didn't get here easily. So don't let anyone make you feel bad for protecting it fiercely. Your peace is the proof that you finally learned how to choose yourself, not in a selfish way, but in a way that honors your mental, emotional, and spiritual health. When you protect your peace, you also protect your potential. Because chaos is a distraction. And when you're constantly distracted, you can't create, you can't grow, you can't even think clearly, you can't hear God. That's why the enemy doesn't need to destroy you, he just needs to distract you. If he can't take your soul, he'll try to take your focus. And nothing pulls you off your path faster than drama, toxicity, and people who thrive on dysfunction. Protecting your peace is an act of obedience to your purpose. It says, I value what I'm building too much to entertain what drains me. It says, I'd rather disappoint people than disappoint myself. And that's a decision that takes courage. Not everyone will clap for your peace. Some will mock it, test it, or try to sabotage it. But keep your standards. Keep your calm. Keep your center. Your peace is your compass. It keeps you grounded when life tries to uproot you. It keeps you focused when the noise gets too loud. And it reminds you that you're not here to survive chaos. You're here to rise above it. There's freedom in choosing peace over approval. Some people will always be uncomfortable with your boundaries, especially when they used to benefit from your lack of them. When you stop over-explaining, stop overextending, and start preserving your energy, you'll lose people, but you'll find yourself. And that's a trade worth making every single time. You'll find that the more you value your peace, the more you'll crave environments that are calm, conversations that are real, and connections that are mutual. You'll stop apologizing for needing time alone, for not responding right away, or for declining what drains you. You'll become unapologetically protective of your space, not out of fear, but out of respect for your growth. You're not avoiding life, you're choosing to live it on your terms. You're not running from people, you're walking toward peace. And the more you do that, the less you'll tolerate things that once consumed you. You'll begin to see how peace is not just a feeling, it's a lifestyle. It's a way of being that honors your well-being, your spirit, and your truth. There's a deep, unshakable confidence that comes with peace. It doesn't look like arrogance or ego. It looks like stillness, like someone who knows who they are, what they need, and what they won't allow. That kind of peace can't be bought. It's earned through every tear you've shed, every lesson you've learned, every time you walked away when you wanted to stay. It's forged in silence, solitude, and self-reflection. And when you finally have it, you'll defend it with everything you have. Because you know what it cost you, you know how it saved you, and you know how rare it is. People will come and go, situations will rise and fall, but your peace, that's your anchor. It's your constant. It's your reminder that no matter what happens outside of you, nothing gets to destroy what you've built within you. You're not the same person who once allowed chaos to feel like home. You've changed. And now peace feels like purpose, peace feels like power, peace feels like you finally made it out of survival mode and into something sacred. So protect it like your life depends on it. because in many ways, it does. Shift your focus from them to you. That statement alone can change your life. Because for too long, you've been caught in the exhausting cycle of overanalyzing what they said, what they did, what they didn't do, and why they keep hurting you. You've given too much of your power away trying to understand people who never took the time to understand you. You've bent over backwards trying to read between lines that were never meant for you to interpret. And in the process, you've lost sight of the one person who truly matters in your healing, yourself. The truth is, the more you keep trying to decode their behavior, the more you delay your own growth. The more you obsess over their choices, the more disconnected you become from your own needs. It's time to shift the energy. Redirect your attention. Stop monitoring what they're doing and start checking in with yourself. How are you feeling? What do you want? What do you need to heal from? Because when you start pouring that same energy inward, you'll begin to see how powerful you are. You'll realize that their choices say everything about them and nothing about your worth. This is your time now. You've spent sleepless nights trying to figure out why they changed, why they left, why they didn't treat you right. You've spent days in silence replaying every word they said, as if somewhere in their chaos, you'll find the answers that'll bring you peace. But healing doesn't come from studying the people who broke you. Healing comes from studying yourself, from looking in the mirror and saying, I've had enough. It comes from realizing that closure is not something they can give you, it's something you give yourself. And the more you dwell on their actions, the more control you hand over to someone who no longer deserves to influence your peace. So shift it, reclaim it, focus on your breath, focus on your boundaries, focus on your self-respect. You'll never be able to control how others choose to treat you, but you have full control over how long you allow their actions to live in your head. And once you truly grasp that, you'll stop giving energy to people who only gave you confusion. You'll start building a relationship with yourself so strong, no one will ever be able to shake it again. Shifting your focus doesn't mean you're pretending nothing happened. It doesn't mean you're brushing the pain under the rug or acting like you're unbothered. It means you've decided to stop letting their behavior dictate your identity. You've decided that their absence will no longer echo louder than your presence. You've realized that you've got wounds to heal and dreams to chase and a life to live. And none of that can happen while you're still mentally stuck on someone who's moved on without looking back. It's not about revenge. It's not about proving anything. It's about peace. It's about freedom. Because when you shift your focus, you're not denying the pain. You're choosing not to let it define you. You're taking back your narrative and rewriting it from a place of power. You're allowing yourself to see that maybe what happened wasn't rejection, it was redirection. Maybe the loss was actually the beginning. And maybe, just maybe, this heartbreak was the very thing that would force you to finally put yourself first. That shift, that's everything. You've got to be brave enough to sit with yourself, to feel the weight of your own energy without the noise of other people's opinions, distractions, or validation. That's where real growth happens. That's where the shift from them to you becomes real. You stop scrolling through their social media, hoping for clues. You stop writing messages you'll never send. You stop hoping they'll change. Instead, you start asking deeper questions. What patterns am I repeating? What boundaries have I been neglecting? What part of me still seeks love from people who don't know how to give it? Those questions hurt, but they're necessary. Because healing isn't pretty. It's not polished or perfect. It's messy. It's raw. But it's yours. And the more honest you are with yourself, the faster you'll find peace. Don't rush to distract yourself with someone new. Don't bury the pain just to avoid feeling it. Sit in it. Learn from it. Then rise from it. That's how you shift the focus. You make the journey back to you, one breath at a time. Every time you shift your attention back to yourself, you're planting seeds of confidence, because self-focus isn't selfish, it's self-honoring. And if you don't honor yourself, no one else truly will. You've tried for too long to be everything for everyone while forgetting the most important person in the room, yourself. Now it's time to reverse that. Not with arrogance, but with accountability. Hold yourself accountable to your peace, your purpose, and your personal growth. Start asking, what habits am I developing to take care of my emotional health? How do I speak to myself when no one's around? Am I showing up for the version of me I say I want to become? When you live in those questions, the need for external validation starts to fade. Because you're too focused on becoming your highest self to chase people who can't see your value. And in that space, you'll start to glow. Not because they came back, not because you got closure, but because you found yourself. And no one can take that away from you again. The greatest shift happens when you realize your healing doesn't require their apology. You don't need them to say sorry for you to move on. You don't need them to acknowledge the damage for you to grow stronger. Your peace is not tied to their awareness. It's tied to your decision to choose yourself over and over again. That's where the power lies. In choosing you. In deciding that your life is not going to be a museum of broken memories. You are not going to live in the shadow of their actions. You're going to take those broken pieces and build something beautiful. A stronger you, a wiser you, a softer yet more grounded you. When you shift the focus, you start giving your energy to things that build you up. You start chasing purpose instead of pain. You start waiting for people to come around, and instead you start showing up for yourself in ways you never have before. Not easy, but it's worth it. Because when you become your own anchor, no storm can ever truly shake you. And don't be surprised when the shift makes you feel alone at first. That's normal. Because you're detaching from old patterns, old attachments, old versions of yourself. And with that detachment comes space. Space that used to be filled with anxiety and overthinking now sits quiet and unfamiliar. But in that space, healing begins, clarity begins, self-love begins. You'll start to see your worth, not through their actions, but through your own. You'll stop begging for love and start becoming love. You'll stop chasing and start attracting. That shift from needing them to becoming you is sacred. It's where you learn to love your own company. It's where your identity no longer depends on being chosen by someone else. You realize you were never broken. You were just misplaced. You gave too much of yourself to people who didn't know what to do with it, but not anymore. Now every thought, every step, every choice is intentional. It's for you. And that shift, that's not loneliness. That's liberation. There's nothing more powerful than a person who no longer needs external permission to feel worthy. That's what happens when you shift the focus. You stop being a slave to other people's opinions. You stop being reactive to their moods. You stop tiptoeing around people just to keep the peace while destroying your own. Instead, you build your life on your values. You wake up and choose peace, even if it means disappointing others. You choose rest, even when the world praises hustle. You choose growth, even when it requires uncomfortable conversations with yourself. This isn't about becoming someone else. It's about returning to who you've always been, before the hurt, before the conditioning, before the chaos. That's the shift. It's a return, a remembering, a reawakening. And when you operate from that place, you become unshakable. You're no longer defined by who walked away or who failed to see your light, because now you see it, and that changes everything. Every part of you that's been broken, ignored, rejected, or misunderstood deserves to be seen and loved by you. That's why the shift matters, because you've been too focused on proving your worth to people who were never equipped to receive it. Now it's your turn. Your turn to pour into yourself the way you've poured into others. Your turn to be the safe place you've always searched for in someone else. Your turn to become your own best friend, biggest supporter, and greatest healer. The love you've been waiting for isn't outside, it's already within. And when you shift your focus, you unlock that truth. You stop looking for someone to save you and you start saving yourself. That's not weakness. That's power. That's resilience. That's real transformation. And once you truly experience the strength that comes from within, you'll never settle for anything that weakens it again. You'll protect your peace, honor your path, and walk with a sense of purpose that no one can steal. Because now your focus is where it should have been all along. On you. And as that focus deepens, so does your life. You begin to attract people who see you because you've finally seen yourself. You welcome relationships that don't drain but pour. You stop needing to be chosen because you've already chosen you. That shift creates a ripple effect in every area of your life, your mindsets, your goals, your habits, your vision. You stop tolerating what you used to endure. You speak up, not out of anger, but out of alignment. You set boundaries not as walls, but as doors that open only for those who come with love and respect. This is your season of reclamation. You're not waiting for validation, closure, or permission. You're not living in reaction to people who never knew how to value you. You're living in response to your calling, to your truth, to your power. And with every choice you make to shift your focus back to yourself, you rise not just above the pain, but into your purpose. Release to rise. That's the essence of healing, the beginning of transformation. You don't rise by holding on. You don't elevate by carrying everything and everyone with you. You rise when you release the dead weight, the pain, the resentment, the need for validation, the constant overthinking about people who barely think of you. You've spent too long shackled to memories that no longer serve you, bound to cycles that keep replaying because you won't let go. You've convinced yourself that holding on means strength, but the real power is in release. It takes courage to unclench your fists, to stop rewriting the story in your head, to finally say, this chapter is done. And when you do that, when you release all that was never yours to carry, you free yourself. You give yourself permission to breathe again, to feel again, to live again. Releasing isn't about pretending it never happened. It's about accepting that it did and choosing not to let it define you anymore. It's not forgetting, it's outgrowing. It's not weakness, it's wisdom. When you stop fighting the past and start flowing with the present, you begin to rise, not because someone saved you, but because you finally saved yourself. You don't have to carry the guilt for how things ended. You don't have to carry the shame of what you tolerated or the regret of what you allowed. What happened, happened. It shaped you, yes, but it does not own you. It does not get to narrate your future. Too many people live in self-punishment, replaying the worst moments of their lives like a broken record. You've got to ask yourself, how long are you going to keep reliving what you should be releasing? It's not noble to suffer in silence just to seem loyal to memories that hurt you. Your heart deserves more than a life spent bleeding for people who never brought you peace. Release the version of yourself that only knew survival. Release the identity you built around pain. There's more to you than your past. There's a version of you waiting to be born. A version that knows joy without fear, love without begging, peace without pretending. But that version cannot rise if you stay buried under what should have been. Let go. You've suffered enough. Now it's time to stop clutching the thorns and start healing the wounds. You're not stuck. You're just still holding on. Sometimes what we hold on to isn't even love. It's the memory of who we were when we felt wanted. It's the illusion of potential, the dream of what could have been. But how long can you live off of maybes and almosts? How long will you keep feeding your soul crumbs when you deserve a feast? You've got to release the fantasy. You've got to stop romanticizing pain just because it's familiar. Familiarity isn't the same as fulfillment. Just because it felt real doesn't mean it was right. And if you're honest, holding on hasn't brought you happiness. It's only prolonged your suffering. Release the false hope. Release the belief that they'll wake up one day and finally see your worth. You've always been worthy. Their inability to recognize that doesn't reduce your value. Let go of waiting. Let go of wishing. Start choosing yourself now, not when they change. Your healing isn't on hold for anyone. It begins the moment you decide you're done betraying yourself. When you release the idea that you need someone to complete you, you begin to rise into someone who is already whole. And from that wholeness, everything you've ever chased begins to find you. You have to be willing to grieve the loss of who you thought they were. That version you built in your head, the version who would never leave, who would always care, who would someday change, it's not real. And as painful as that truth is, it's also your key to freedom. Because when you release the fantasy, you reclaim your clarity. You stop fighting the reality. You stop gaslighting yourself, stop twisting their behavior just to keep them on a pedestal. They are who they are. They showed you, and now it's time to believe them. You can't rise when you're anchored to illusions. You can't grow when you keep watering dead plants. Release the illusion and let the truth ground you. It will hurt at first. It will feel like something's dying inside you, and that's because something is. It's the version of you who tolerated too much, who loved too little of themselves. Let that version go with grace. Mourn it if you must, but don't resurrect it. You deserve a love that doesn't confuse you, a presence that doesn't disappear, a peace that doesn't come at the cost of your self-respect. When you release what's false, you make space for what's true. You'll be tempted to go back, not because you miss the pain, but because you miss the familiarity. You'll scroll through old messages, listen to songs that used to mean something, revisit memories like they hold the answers. But they don't. They're echoes from a chapter you've already outgrown. Stop trying to revive what already broke you. 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 You can't rise while dragging the past behind you like a weight. Release doesn't mean forgetting. It means no longer clinging. It means acknowledging the past without living in it. You've got dreams to chase, peace to build, a future that's still unfolding. Don't let the ghost of your past love write the next page of your story. You deserve better than recycled pain. Let it go, not because they deserve forgiveness, but because you deserve freedom. Release the memories that hold you hostage. Release the inner dialogue that says you're not enough. Start speaking to yourself like someone worth loving, because you are. This isn't about being strong every second. It's about choosing to no longer bleed for a past that won't return. That choice, over and over, is how you rise. What you release defines what you receive. When your hands are full of bitterness, there's no room for joy. When your heart is still tangled in what hurt you, there's no space for something new to grow. You've got to make space. You've got to do the painful, brave work of letting go of people, patterns, and pain that no longer align with the life you're trying to build. Don't confuse release with loss. Release is gain. It's the gain of peace, of clarity, of inner strength. It's saying, I trust what's ahead more than I fear what's behind. And that trust becomes your wings. It lifts you from the wreckage of what broke you and carries you towards something deeper, something real. But you won't reach it while you're still glued to who you were in that broken season. You can't bring the same pain into new places and expect different results. What you refuse to release will always repeat. Choose to end the cycle. Choose to outgrow the pattern. You're not meant to stay the same. You're meant to evolve, expand, and elevate. But first, you've got to unclench your grip on everything that's been quietly holding you back. Sometimes the most toxic attachment is not to another person, it's to a version of yourself that you don't even recognize anymore. The version who stayed silent to keep peace, who ignored red flags, who said, I'm fine, while breaking inside. You've got to release that self. Thank them for surviving, but let them go. They were necessary in that season, but they can't come with you now. You're not here to keep shrinking just to fit into someone else's comfort zone. You're here to rise, to step into your power without apology. Release the smallness, release the silence, release the fear of being too much. You are not too much, you're just finally ready to be seen. And anyone who can't meet you there was never meant to walk with you. Stop carrying guilt for growing. Stop apologizing for healing. Not everyone will understand your transformation, and that's okay. You're not rising for their approval, you're rising because your spirit can no longer stay caged. And the more you release the parts of you that were born out of survival, the more you return to the version that was born for more. That version is who you're becoming now. You may not realize it yet, but everything you've released has created space for something greater. The silence, the distance, the endings, they're not empty. They're preparation. The pain you released carved room for the purpose you're stepping into. Every tear, every letting go, every goodbye was making way for a stronger, wiser, more aligned you. Don't rush to fill the space with noise. Don't run back to comfort just to avoid solitude. Sit in it. Let it teach you. Let it stretch you. Let it remind you that emptiness is not a punishment. It's the beginning of possibility. You are not behind. You are not broken. You're in the in-between, the sacred space where old things end and new things begin. And if you can honor that space, if you can resist the urge to settle for less, just to feel something familiar, you will rise into something more beautiful than you've ever known. That's the truth of release. It's not just an ending, it's a sacred invitation to begin again, not from desperation, but from power. And the more you choose that power, the more unstoppable you become. The more you release, the more clearly you see. Your vision isn't clouded by neediness. Your decisions aren't shaped by desperation. You no longer bend for people who only showed up halfway. You don't chase what leaves. You attract what aligns. That's the gift of release. It detaches you from what you thought you needed and reconnects you with what you truly deserve. You stop tolerating confusion because your peace matters too much. You stop seeking closure because you become your own clarity. You begin to walk lighter. You laugh without guilt. You love yourself without needing a mirror of someone else's affection. You realize that your story doesn't end in heartbreak. It begins there. That pain cracked you open, not to destroy you, but to wake you up. Now you're awake. Now you're aware. Now you're finally in tune with who you really are. And when you release all that was never meant to stay, you start rising into the version of you that always knew there was more. The version who doesn't settle, who doesn't beg, who doesn't shrink. That version has always been inside you. Release was never about becoming someone else. It was about returning to yourself. You didn't lose anything by releasing them. You found yourself. And in this season, that's more than enough. You may not have all the answers, but you have clarity. You may not feel fully healed, but you're no longer breaking yourself to make others whole. You've learned that peace isn't found in someone else's presence. It's found in your own. You've learned that rising doesn't require noise or applause. It's quiet. It's intentional. It's you choosing day after day not to go back to the places and people who wounded you. It's you reclaiming your energy, your time, your future. You don't have to explain why you released what you did. You don't owe anyone a justification for your growth. You just keep rising. Quietly, powerfully, authentically, because now you're no longer defined by the pain they caused or the love they withheld. You're defined by your resilience, by your decision to rise anyway. And every time you choose to release, be it a memory, a person, or an old belief, you rise a little higher. This is the process. This is the shift. You're no longer surviving. You're becoming. You're no longer waiting, you're walking, and you will never be the same again. In the journey of life, understanding who is truly for you and who is against you is not always easy, but it is necessary. When you notice consistent patterns of manipulation, disrespect, and intentional harm, that's no accident. That's revelation. It's God uncovering what you couldn't see before. And when he reveals, he's also protecting every toxic relationship that falls apart, every friend who walks away after you set a boundary, every person who changes once you stop being useful to them. It's all part of the divine process. You weren't meant to carry everyone into your destiny. Some people were only in your life for a season, and clinging to them longer than necessary only delays your healing and growth. Sometimes the hurt they cause is the very thing God uses to set you free. Pain can be a purifier, a teacher, a signal from heaven that it's time to shift, release, and rise. And though it may not feel good in the moment, it's preparing you for something greater. Your strength is being refined, your discernment is being sharpened, and your soul is being awakened. You don't need to beg for love, prove your worth, or explain your value to people who never intended to see it in the first place. This is your call to reclaim your peace, protect your heart, and trust that God is always working behind the scenes. Even through betrayal, even through silence, even through separation. Let go with grace, detach with dignity, and walk forward in the confidence that you're being led to something far more beautiful than anything you're leaving behind. Thank you for listening. May you find clarity, peace, and purpose in your path. Stay strong, Stay true. And remember, God bless you.